Throughout the latter decades of the 20th century, the United States increasingly became involved in foreign matters in the Middle East, but especially in Iran, which led to enduring conflicts between the two nations because of the United States' compromising support of the Shah of Iran's repressive regime. The animosities fostered by the United States' support of the Shah initiated a complex cultural and religious dichotomy that has created a volatile situation of continuing conflict in the Middle East. The United States and Iran, compromising with a repressive regime and creating conflict in the Middle East. From 1941 through 1979, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi was in control in Iran, largely because of the protection and support of its ally, the United States. Prior to the Second World War, the United States' interest in Iran was evident, and it supported the Shah's government. During the height of the Cold War, the U.S. followed a pattern of intervention in Middle East politics in order to limit the Soviet Union from extending its influence into the area and to maintain access to Iran's oil. This resulted in unrest in Iran because of Western influence in Iran's oil industry, opening the door for Mohammad Mossadegh, a Soviet-friendly politician who stood for oil nationalization. Protests by Mossadegh's supporters forced the Shah into exile in August 1953. The State Department of the United States, concerned that a government sympathetic to communism could harness the chaos in Iran and turn it against the United States' interests, worked with the Central Intelligence Agency to push Mossadegh from Iran and bring the exiled Shah back into power through Operation Ajax. This coup ushered in 2 decades of compromising support of the Shah's repressive dictatorship, which relied heavily on U.S. aid and arms. The consequences of compromise. During the 1960s, the Shah became progressively authoritarian. He dissolved parliament and strengthened his powers in 1961. Furthermore, he followed an overly aggressive and ambitious plan for the modernization of the economy and agriculture, both of which upset traditional, conservative Iranian society and made life increasingly strenuous and burdensome for the poor and mostly rural people. When opposition began to openly emerge, he became even more oppressive and totalitarian, utilizing his police unit, the Savak, to suppress, incarcerate, and torture those who resisted his power. The support of the United States strengthened the Shah, but it also associated America with his repressive regime because of its compromising support. As the Iranian people grew weary of the Shah's repression and corruption, some began to call for a return to the traditions of Islam. Their shared hate of the Shah amalgamated the resistance behind the Ayatollah Khomeini, a prominent Shia Muslim religious leader who preached a conservative form of Islam, and who gained acceptance in part by provoking Iranian bitterness and discontent against the United States' compromising support of the Shah's regime. Because of his voice against the Shah, Khomeini was forced into exile in 1963. By 1978, however, opposition started to assemble in mass demonstrations in Tehran and other major cities. In 1979, the demonstrations drove the Shah to flee Iran, and Khomeini returned in triumph as the leader of a new and revolutionary government in Iran. All the Shah's works of modernization were reversed, and his previous appointees were either imprisoned or executed. Compromise resulting in conflict. The Iran hostage crisis. During this time of bedlam, the Shah was diagnosed with cancer, and President Jimmy Carter permitted this former ally of the U.S. to travel to New York to receive medical treatment on October 22, 1979. This provoked many hostile demonstrations in Tehran by Iranians who were outraged by what they perceived as a continuing compromising support of the hated and despised tyrant. On November 4, 1979, students who were gathered in the streets outside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran breached the walls and sieged the entire complex. After several hours, the whole embassy was under control of the demonstrators. The revolutionaries freed all women and African Americans, as well as one diplomat who became very ill, but 52 Americans were held as hostages for the next 444 days. It was made clear that the Americans would not be released until the Shah was returned to Iran, so he could be tried for crimes committed against the country and its citizens. Both the public and government in the United States were shocked by this violation of diplomatic amnesty. President Jimmy Carter's efforts to negotiate the release of the hostages were unsuccessful, and in April of 1980 he took military action and ordered Operation Eagle Claw, a Delta Force rescue mission to extract the hostages. The mission, however, was fraught with mistakes and bad luck. 8 U.S. servicemen were killed in the unsuccessful operation. Compromise and continuing conflicts. The Iran hostage crisis was a severe blow to U.S. morale and prestige. It was a major setback in the path of U.S.-Iranian relations, remaining as one of the most dramatic events of the post-World War II era. The crisis also marked the beginning of U.S. legal action, resulting in economic sanctions against Iran, further weakening the ties between Iran and the United States. It also represented the Western world's first confrontation with the radical Shiite movement, which continues to breach and disregard the rules of international law. Today, the United States is continuing to impose economic sanctions against Iran and isolating Iran by denying it technology, trade, and credits. Iran is also at odds with Israel, interfering in the Palestinian-Israeli peace process, supporting terrorism through Hezbollah and other puppet governments. Iran's development of a nuclear program also has the potential for devastating application in ongoing instances of conflict.
Why should not Iran have it? We are in a region that Pakistan has it, Israel has it, India has it, Russia has it. How is it that everybody has it now? Iran should not have it. Now, who is the judge in the world? America? They want to decide for the whole world? We have seen what they have done in Iraq. We have seen what they have done in Afghanistan. They have also in mind to do something against Iran. Every day I get up, somebody in America or in Israel, they say, we attack Iran, we attack nuclear facilities in Iran, and so on. This is amazing. They have made the world a very aggressive world. Attacking Iran has become a normal thing that you hear every day. And they say Iran is aggressive. They say Iran is going to make the bomb.
Iran aggressively pursues these weapons and exports terror. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
The 20th century was a milestone in the rapid acceleration and growth of the Middle East, with Iran as a cornerstone. As the United States became involved in foreign matters, conflict between the two nations emerged as a result of the long-standing and compromising support of the Shah of Iran. The Iranian Revolution created a complex cultural and religious division that has created a region fraught with tension and war. However, as Iran continues to grow and develop, it will cement itself as a country with visions of grandeur.